All right, in your student book, page 236, we're going to read and comprehend looking at target skill and target strategy. Our skill is to compare and contrast. As you read the journey, Stories of Migration, look for ways to compare and contrast important details about the two different kinds of migrating creatures. Note that the author uses a similar structure for both parts of the selection. This helps you to see how the migrations are alike and different. You can use a graphic organizer like this one to record text evidence that helps you compare and contrast the two migrations. Now when you compare, you look for ways that are alike, and when you contrast, you're looking for ways that are different. Some authors use a compare and contrast text structure when they write an informational text. Now, the author of this selection has used a compare and contrast structure to help readers make connections between the two main sections of the text. One section is going to be about locusts, and the other is going to be about whales. Now, this graphic organizer is a Venn diagram. You could use one like this to record details about how the two animals' migrations are alike and different. And when you do this, this will help you make connections between the two migratory animals. Your target strategy is to visualize. As you read, use the author's descriptive details to help you visualize or picture the information you read. When you visualize, okay, this is a really good strategy to use when you're reading any type of story. But visualizing is using the descriptive words to form a mental picture. In an informational text, visualizing can make facts and details easier to understand and to remember, and it can also make the text more enjoyable to read. Let's preview the topic. Animal migration. Geese fly in a V-shape high in the sky. Hundreds of monarch butterflies gather on a tree trunk to rest during their long flight to Mexico. Sea turtles gather on Florida beaches in the spring and summer. These are just a few examples of migrations made every year. A migration is the movement of insects, animals, or even people from one location to another, often thousands of miles apart. In The Journey, Story of Migration, you'll learn why two very different creatures, gray whales and locusts, migrate and where they go. So some animals respond to changing seasons by moving to a new location. Often animals migrate to find food, and in most cases that migration cycle happens every year. Now some animals only migrate a few miles, but others migrate thousands of miles. All right, turn the page. Here is our anchor text, The Journey, Stories of Migration. There again is your target skill, comparing and contrasting using a Venn diagram, how the details are alike and different. Remember, alike go in the very middle where our circles kind of connect to each other, and then the different things go in the separate part of the circle. So this is a story by Cynthia Rylant. You can read more about her here in the Meet the Author box. This is an informational text that gives you facts and information. You are going to find headings that tell about the content. Ideas and information is going to be organized, and graphics like maps might help explain the topic. Okay. Informational text is a kind of nonfiction. It tells facts about a subject. And as I preview, I'm going to see and read many facts about real animals, and I'm going to see that the author has included headings. These details can make me think that the selection is an informational text. These are all features. All right, so I would like you to pause the video here in a second. First, let me tell you what you need to do. You are going to take a walk through this. You're going to preview the story. Starts on page 239, where we see our essential question, why do animals migrate to other places? And it ends on page 255. All right, so you are going to preview the story, make a prediction, what do you think it's going to be about, and then set your purpose for reading. Why are you going to read this story? Okay, so after you've previewed, you can think about what you know about informational text and what you want to learn and set a purpose for reading. So pause the video and do those 3 things and then come back when you're done. All right. So if I were going to set a purpose for reading, the title tells me that this selection's about animals migrating, and this first photograph suggests that whales are an animal that migrate. And I didn't know that, so I want to read more so that I can learn more about whale migration. What is your purpose for reading? Now that we have previewed and set our purpose for reading, you are going to go ahead and read this selection in its entirety. So you're going to start with page 240 and end on page 255. And after you are finished reading, you may join me back on the video. All right, now that you have read this selection, we are going to think through the text. All right, this is going to be a series of questions based on what you just read. Please feel free to pause the video after each question and discuss them with your learning adult at home. All right, so we need to go to the next set of pages here. That's where my first question begins. Okay, so what does vegetation mean? Which words or phrases are clues that help you understand this meaning? How does the photograph on pages 242 and 243 relate to what is described in the text? Analyze the text. Author's word choice. What words help you visualize how it looks and sounds when the locusts fly away together? Why are swarms of locusts dangerous for cars? The author doesn't explain what kind of trouble locusts cause for airplanes and trains. Why do you think swarms of locusts interfere with planes and trains? How are the people on page 245 trying to get rid of locusts? And do you think their approach would work? And why? How is the amount of food available for grasshoppers related to the reason that they sometimes become locusts? What is baleen? And how do you know? How are the winter changes in the Arctic seas connected to the whale's reason for migrating? How does the map on this page help you understand the text? Analyze the text. Compare and contrast. What is the same about the 2 trips that whales make, and what is different? All right, we are going to dig deeper. The author of The Journey, Stories of Migration, organized the text in a way that helps readers compare and contrast whales and locusts. Looking for connection between parts of a text will help you to understand what you read. You're going to return to pages 240, 241, and first you learn that some animals migrate while others do not. Then you'll start reading about one migratory animal, the locust. As you continue reading, look for text evidence that helps you make connections. When you come to the next section about whales, you'll be able to start comparing and contrasting the information with what you read about locusts. All right, so they're talking about the Venn diagram here, where you put things that are the same about their migration, and over here you could put the locust migration, and here you could put the whale and the things that are different about each of them. Okay, so I can use this graphic organizer and it will help me to understand the migrations and how they are alike and different. Author's word choice. Authors carefully choose the words and phrases they use, choosing strong adjectives and adverbs, and this helps readers picture what things look like and how events happen. In The Journey, Stories of Migration, the author uses the words dramatic and frightening to describe a swarm of locusts on page 241. Think about how those words help you imagine the young grasshoppers. Remember that adjectives describe nouns and adverbs describe verbs, adjectives, or other adverbs. Now it's your turn. We're going to return to that essential question of why do animals migrate to other places? Have a discussion using text evidence to discuss the answer to this question. You're also going to use the classroom conversation box in these 3 questions to have a conversation and discuss these things with your learning adult, just to make the essential question mean even more and take what you learned and really take it to the next level in terms of being able to explain that to somebody by answering these questions. So go ahead and pause the video, discuss the essential question and the classroom conversation questions, and come back to the video when you're done. So now you've had a chance to discuss with your learning adult and kind of retell the important parts of the story. So now it's time for your response. Think about the 2 migrations in The Journey, Stories of Migration. If you could watch either the locusts migrate or the whales, which would you choose? You're going to write a quick paragraph on a lined piece of paper about your choice using text evidence from the selection to support your opinion. Our writing tip is, as you write, choose words and phrases that emphasize your point of view. Use adjectives that help readers visualize what you describe.